you, another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman, Streets of Gotham, Leviathan. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Streets of Gotham, Leviathan is the second volume in the Streets of Gotham series. And the Streets of Gotham series is basically Batman stories told by Paul Dini. Now, if you don't know who Paul Dini is, then obviously you do not read or watch or know much about Batman. Because, see, Paul Dini is one of the biggest names in Batman. He has done stuff on the Batman animated series, he has done stuff for movies, he has done stuff for video games such as Arkham Asylum. He wrote the whole Arkham Asylum story. And, of course, he wrote many Batman stories in the comic book universe. Some of the best stories out there, and he's one of the best at what he does. And that is Batman. He has written so many different characters and so many different stories, and all of them are good. He's one of the best Batman writers out there, bar none. I love him. What can I say? But Batman Leviathan for the Streets of Gotham series is different than the previous stuff that Paul Dini has done for Streets of Gotham. Two reasons. One is that these are actually individual one-shot stories rather than one overall story arc that we got from the first volume. Each of these stories stand alone on their own. However, they do have an overall theme to each other. Some elements transition over from one to another, but on a whole, they're their own individual stories. In addition to that, Paul Dini is not alone in writing these stories. Fellow writers Michael Benson and Chris Yost join in with Paul Dini to write the Streets of Gotham Leviathan story. Now, you don't have to worry because these are good writers. I mean, Chris Yost himself has done the Red Robin series, which I have said has been a fantastic series. I really love Red Robin, and I was excited to see that he joined on to the comic here. But the question is this: will the individual one-shot story arcs work as they did with Paul Dini in the past, or will other writers joining on to the title kind of hurt it a bit? Well, you're just going to have to read and see. So let's actually jump into what these stories are. These are broken up into several small stories, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but in these stories you get to see Huntress and Man-Bat go up against an invisible man, or Mrs. Zsasz stealing kids and having Robin have to infiltrate basically this underworld pit fighting thing that goes on that Mrs. Zsasz has and try to get these kids out. You also get to see Batman team up with Commissioner Gordon to stop all these random murders that are going on with this prostitution ring. And they all kind of connect together to have an overall underlying theme. So those are the basic stories. I'm not going to go into them too much because the more I go into the stories, like say the Mrs. Zsasz story, the more I'm going to be giving away. And really these are stories that you should read on your own. So onto the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get them. Good. These stories are fun. I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed these stories. Particularly the ones that deal with Dick Grayson going undercover and working with Commissioner Gordon to stop these murders in this prostitution ring. Or the Mrs. Zsasz story was really fun. They're all really good stories. I really enjoyed them. The first story, the one that has to deal with the preacher in Gotham, really good story, really good ending. So these stories are all really good. The art is really nice too. This is the same art that you can come to expect from the likes of Piper Casebook, Heart of Hush, Batman, Superman, Torment. That artist is on this book, and again, he does a great job with his art. It makes everyone look kick-ass, and I just love it. So the art is great on this too. And the themes transition well over from story to story to story. So that's another thing I like also. Bad. Although the themes transition over from story to story to story, you feel a very different tone in each story. Because Paul Dini isn't writing all these stories and there's other writers on these stories, you obviously get a different theme and a different tone from each story. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the synergy doesn't quite line up quite as well as it would if it was just one writer. Again, not a bad thing, just something to point out. But besides that, that's probably the only bad really out there. Streets of Gotham Leviathan is fun. It's not quite as good as the first volume that you get with Hush Money, but this is great stuff. You can just sit down, relax, and really enjoy this. And you know, this really brings Batman back to his roots too. Good old detective work. That's what we love with Batman. Kicking ass, taking names in detective work. And you get that here. Nice detective work. I was a little weary at first, I'm not going to lie, with other writers being on this title rather than just having it Paul Dini. Maybe it's because I've come to rely on Paul Dini so much because he's just a fantastic writer. But the other writers do a good job, and they really kind of went outside of my expectations and above and beyond them, and they were satisfying. No bad there. So you have no worries in the fact that there's other writers on here than Paul Dini. I still want to see Paul Dini be the majority writer on these stories. Maybe in the later stories or in the later trades, it just be Paul Dini. But, like I said, the other writers don't dampen this at all. Now, whether or not you should get it. Well, if you're a fan of any of Paul Dini's work previously, or if you do like the format as the individual one-shot stories, then I recommend picking this up. These are fun stuff. They're just things that you can sit back and relax to. However, if you're tight on money, and you want just the really essential Batman stuff, maybe you might want to wait before getting this. I do recommend still picking up, but it might be something that you might want to wait till you get a little bit more money, or until you get some of the other Batman stuff that you need to get out of the way first. Because it's still fun, this is still well worth getting. Enjoyed reading it, recommend picking it up. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.